Okay, guys, it's Monday. It's time for On the Clock. We're back after a day off yesterday. But so far, so good on the new show. 3-1 both days. The parlay hit both days. And we're going to try to do that again here. But also a good run with my 5% max bets. The Bucks +3 get it done yesterday. I'm now on a 7-1 run. And I've got a 5%er tonight in college basketball. It's a spot that I've had circled for a while. And you should check that out on my page. Also, like and subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel so we can keep bringing you free picks and great shows like On the Clock. On the Clock is exactly what it says it is. I'm giving myself 90 seconds to run through 5 different games and give out 4 or 5 bets for you. I think we've got 4 or 3 or 4 on today's show on a smaller Monday slate. So when you hear the buzzer noise, already can't get the buzzer noise to work. There it is. It means it's time to move on to the next game. And we'll start with what I guess you could call the feature game of a very limited Monday night slate. And that is Grand Canyon and Louisiana Tech. And man, it's hard to, I guess this is a feature game. This is a true home. It's a home game for Louisiana Tech. So you got Grand Canyon on the road. And what I'll say about this game is this. Grand Canyon was bet up overnight, definitely respected money that hit the Grand Canyon side and pushed us to about 2.5, pushed us to -145 on the money line. And Grand Canyon coming into the season, I thought people were crazy saying that they should be a top 25 team. That was insanity. And I think they were very overrated coming into the season. The problem is they played weeks without Tyon Grant-Foster, who's their best player, and Duke Brennan, who's a key player to this team. So both of those guys missed time in November. And that's the reason, in my opinion, for losses to Arizona State, UC Davis. Like, they probably don't lose to those teams if they're at full strength. Their most recent game was a loss, but they covered against Georgia. That's a very good Georgia team. So right now, I could only bet Grand Canyon based off of the fact that they played some game. Tyon Grant-Foster missed the entire preseason, basically. Duke Brennan missing like 3 or 4 games. I just think at this point, Grand Canyon market value has diminished to the point where you can only back them. I do lean their way here, but Louisiana Tech's still a good team. So I didn't back Grand Canyon on the road in this spot, but that's the way I would play it. I would look toward the money line, and I do think I'm going to throw that in to our parlay, so stay tuned till the end. But Grand Canyon money line is my lean there. Okay, let's move on to total of the day. 2-0 on these so far, and we'll try to make it 3-0. I'm going to look at Wofford and Charleston. This is down in Charleston tonight, and I think this one is going to soar over the total. Wofford, I was at Wofford's most recent game. They played at Elon last Saturday. I think this team is bad. They lost one of their better players prior to the season, and they were kind of like hyped up coming into this year because they had some guys returning. This is not a good basketball team, in my opinion. They're going to struggle with any team that's got front court size. And, the Elon zone, they couldn't get anything off. They took 39 threes against Elon, never had a chance in that game. Now, I do think they're going to get their shot up against Charleston. Charleston's defense isn't quite as good. Charleston doesn't have a 7'4" guy, protecting the rim like Elon did. Charleston's not as good of a rebounding team. So I do think the shots are a little bit easier to come by for Wofford. If anything, maybe their threes are a little bit less contested and some of those threes fall. So I do see a world where Wofford is in this game. So I guess I'll give you a lean toward the +7 there. Charleston is a good basketball team, but they turn the ball over. Their defense is questionable. And I don't think they're going to just crush, Wofford on the glass like Elon did. So I think that makes for a game that has a ton of points because we know this Charleston team can score. I think you're going to see Wofford score along with them here. So we've got a total of 148.5, 148. I think this one flies over the total in Charleston tonight. All right, let's move on to boots on the ground. And as you can see by my hoodie, we're going to talk about Air Force here. I didn't go to Northern Colorado yet. Shout out to my buddy Ben Carey. I got to get out there and go to a Northern Colorado game with him. That's his alma mater. He lives out there. But last year, I went to Air Force. I drove to Colorado State, did them in the same day. Greeley is like right on that drive. So these two schools are probably separated by about 90 minutes. And the key here in this game, I guess we'll start with where the number is. It looks like we're at 9.5. I'd be willing to play back at the market move here toward Northern Colorado for a couple of reasons. One, Air Force has been without Bo Becker basically all season. He got hurt 6 minutes into their first game of the year. He is the catalyst to this team. And there was no question that there was going to be some serious growing pains with him not on the floor. But this is still a veteran Air Force team that it's taken a while, but they're starting to turn the corner a little bit. They beat Stony Brook last time out, thought they were impressive. And Bo Becker's going to be back probably pretty soon. I haven't heard much about when he's going to return, but on Air Force broadcast, maybe about 3 weeks ago, the target return time for him was mid-December. Now, Air Force hasn't played in a week. Could he pop up and show up here, maybe come off the bench, similar to how Reedus Petraitis came back last year? Yeah, he could. That would be a massive boost. If Bo Becker was confirmed in, I would play Air Force in this spot 100 times out of 100. The problem is we don't know that. And if he is getting close to being back, Air Force will ease him back in like they did with Petraitis last season. That being said, I still think Air Force is improving. So I still think that their value against the number right now. So I lean Air Force 9.5. If you saw Becker pop up in this line, pop up in the starting lineup for any reason, I think Air Force would have to be worth a look for sure. But I still lean their way because I do think this Air Force team is improving without him, and they still have a lot of veteran guys, that are I think going to get on the same page sooner or later, and they started to do that last time out against Stony Brook. Okay, the poll I put on my page today. Thank you to 50 people that voted in an hour. That's great. I very much appreciate it. And narrowly, Montana Northern Iowa won the poll. So Montana Northern Iowa is the game that we'll talk about. I don't have a spread bet here, but I will sort of talk about Northern Iowa in general, and it'll lead us in to our parlay bet. So I'm going to use Northern Iowa money line in today's parlay, which we'll talk about at the end. But listen, this has come up on this thing. I think we used Northern Iowa in our parlay on Friday. I cashed with Northern Iowa in their first Missouri Valley game. Kind of what I said going into that game. I felt like the trip to Disney for them was a total failure. I don't think they were ready to play. They played awful against North Texas and St. Bonaventure. And I don't think that was really a true representation of what this Northern Iowa team is, which I think is a team that can contend in the Missouri Valley this year. I think if Bradley doesn't win it, I think it's going to be Northern Iowa. And since they've come back from that horrible trip to Disney, this team has been laser focused. They've blown out the three teams that they've played. I would not be surprised if they blow out Montana here. Now, with that being said, I don't think you can just come out and lay 10.5. That's right where I have the number. I think Montana is good enough where you can't expect them to just not be in this game at all. So I don't want to sort of, push you toward laying what I think is not the best number here on Northern Iowa. But I would be absolutely shocked if Northern Iowa lost this game. And that's why we're going to put their money line in our money line parlay. So far, so good. 2 money line parlays. We had a plus 150 on Saturday. I think we were like right around even money on Friday. Today's is plus 110. And the first leg of that is going to be Northern Iowa, because even though I don't love the value at 10.5, I don't think there's any way that Northern Iowa loses this game. And I also am going to throw Grand Canyon in here because I think that's how I'd rather play Grand Canyon rather than have you lay lay 2.5 on the road, or maybe come out and lay a minus 150 money line. I'll approach it similar to the DePaul game that we talked about in Saturday's edition, where we missed the number. We'll just use it for the parlay. I still think Grand Canyon has some upside with Brennan and Grant Foster sort of getting back in the mix, and there's still value, against what the opening line was. And honestly, they probably cover 2.5 as well. I just think they're better than Louisiana Tech. UTEP's not going to lose to Tarleton State today, in my opinion, so I threw their money line in there. That's a big money line, but that pushes us to the plus 110 range. So money line parlay for Monday: Northern Iowa money line, Grand Canyon money line, UTEP money line comes out to plus 110. Probably the play I like the most, although I do really like that total in the Wofford game. But there's a couple of plays for Monday, and look at that, with time to spare. Still had another 10 seconds right there, but we're done early today. Short slate on Monday, but I do have a 5% play. I'm 7-1 in my last 8 5%ers, and that one goes in college basketball tonight. So check that out, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow for another edition of On the Clock on WagerTalk YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. See you guys tomorrow.